We are live with Batch Leads. I'm here with my good friend Brad Chandler. How you doing, brother?
I'm awesome, man. Every day.
Every day. Well, I love it. So, hey, if any of you, if this is your first time tuning in, I bring Brad on about once a month onto the Batch Leads, and we talk about his business, what he's got going on, and kind of our experience on how we've used real estate leads. Batch Leads is definitely the place to go where you're going to pull leads, lists, and talk to sellers off market, even on market now. But we talk about our experience and how our wisdom, I guess, or our experience can help you guys succeed in the real estate game, and not only that, but in your personal life. So today we want to talk about how mindset, not only mindset, but self belief and knowledge can help you upgrade from just single family to multifamily to Airbnbs to different properties. And using the data from Batch can definitely get you there. But Brad, I know you've been in the business for a while. So do you only do single family, or you've been doing some other stuff too?
So we've primarily done single family. I've never done any commercial. We've done some condo conversions. So that's about, and we were about to build a house and the construction costs went through the roof. So we're bailing on that. So no, we focus on single families for the last 20 years.
Bro, you know what that you just kind of brought up is like you're focused, bro. You're locked in on the single family, and I love that. That's awesome. Now you don't just wholesale though, right? You fix and flip.
Yeah. So last year we wholesaled and fix and flip 256 houses. And fortunately, I'm in a position where I only work an hour a week in that business.
Man, so you're like, hey, I don't even know what's going. You know what's going on, but
Yeah, that's going on. Yeah.
that's amazing. Well, but Brad, let's kind of talk about that self belief and where you're at right now and what kind of got you to this place. Because I think a lot of people that will watch this will take a lot from you about how you got your start, what you're up to now, and what they can take from that in their own and apply it in their own lives.
Yeah, yeah. Where to start? Wow. Let's go back to ninth grade when I read a book with how to buy real estate with no money down. Got into real estate. Thought because I liked real estate, but I didn't really care about real estate. Now that I look back on it, it was all to make a bunch of money because I didn't feel worthy. And I thought, oh, making a bunch of money will bring me worthiness and happiness. And it doesn't, guys. So Nathan's amazing at what he does. Like he'll coach you and he can teach you how to make millions of dollars a year. But you can have $1 million a year or make $1 million a year and not be happy. And so many people want to fight me on that. But just look at all the people who've taken their lives in the last 5, 10 years that had so much money, right? So 2 years ago, trying to get my son help for anxiety, I came across a performance coach that said, hey, you may have some childhood issues. And I was like, okay, I'll come out and work with you. And I did. And from that point on, my life profoundly changed. And I really feel like I've got the secret to life now. So I help people, I coach people. And obviously the purpose of this talk today is to talk about self-belief because I know that you have students right now that aren't succeeding, not because you don't provide an amazing instruction, because I know you do. And your heart is as big, if not bigger, than anyone out there in terms of wanting to help your clients. But why can't some succeed? Why do some succeed and not others with the same exact material? And
Right.
I'm going to challenge you to something different. It's not typical mindset. I'm not going to tell you like a lot of other gurus or, I love him, Zig Ziglar, prime the pump, to go and
Mhm.
look in the mirror and tell yourself, you can make this call, you can make this call, you can make this call. Because you've got to figure out if you want to change behavior, you've got to figure out what is driving that behavior in the first place. And this is where you're going to be blown away. That behavior isn't from a year ago. It wasn't created a year ago. It was created somewhere between when you were born and 10 years. Something happened to all of us that were made fun of. Our parents didn't care for us. They abused whatever it was. You went through some stressful situation in your life that caused you to come up with a belief in your mind to get you through that stressful situation. So your brain did its job. I got hit with a belt. I'm 6 years old. Oh, I'm bad. So,
Mhm.
and then I lived with that same thought for 47 years, buried in my subconscious mind. It drove me to do all this negative behavior. And I never knew what it was. So I'm talking a lot, but they got some
No, this is great.
real important stuff here. If you want to succeed in business and life, you've got to figure out what's holding you back. And I can promise you that what's holding you back is likely connected somehow to your childhood and the situations that you lived through that were not your fault, and they're not your fault now. But once you have awareness, they are your fault, and you've got to start doing the work. All change begins with awareness. So you got to figure it out, and then change can happen.
So we talked about in the beginning about like self belief, and that's what you're kind of referring to, right? Is like those things are holding you back from, would you say, believing in yourself? Is that right?
Yeah, but here's the thing. Here's where life gets so interesting and tricky. For 47 years, I didn't wake up, Nathan, and say, I don't believe in Brad. I
Mhm.
gave just the opposite persona. If you'd have asked me, did I have self-love? I'd have been like, yeah, I got self-love. How's your self-esteem, Brad? Oh, it's really high. Brad, do you care about what other people think about you? Nathan, hell no. Guess what?
Mhm.
All three of those were lies that I was telling myself. Deep down inside, my self-belief was, you don't deserve this wealth. You're not good enough. You're going to F it up. And I did. I made 5 business mistakes that cost me $9 million trying to prove my worth. So why am I telling you all this? You can't just wake up and be like, what's my belief? Because you may not know your belief. Your belief could be buried in your subconscious mind. Next question, well, how do you figure it out? There are different ways. I think the best way in the world is hypnosis. So I went out and got trained in hypnotherapy so that I can put you in a relaxed state, and your brain will go right back to the 3 or 4 scenes in your childhood. Oh, this is what's causing me my lack of belief. This is why I don't believe in myself, so that we can rewire that belief so that you can change your thinking and change your behavior and then succeed on a financial level.
Yeah, it's amazing because honestly, I not a lot of people know about this. So I'm assuming bradchandler.com is where they go, right? Where they, if they want to dive in and learn more about, dive into their, their past.
Yep. So all change begins with awareness, right? I've said that a couple of times. You've got to be aware. What is your self-esteem like? How do you feel about yourself? So I created this it takes 2.5 minutes to take. It's a self-love quiz. It's free. Go to bradchandler.com/quiz. Take the quiz. If you score lack of self-love or mild self-love, I promise you that every area of your life is negatively affected to some degree or another. So from that, don't take as, oh, woe is me if I don't have extreme self-love. Just the opposite. Be like, oh my gosh, my life is about to blossom if I do the work and figure out these beliefs that are controlling me from childhood that I don't even know exist. Why do I come home and fight with my spouse? Why do I drink 3 glasses of wine? Why am I pissed off when I'm driving to work every day? Well, you don't know. Why? Because your subconscious drives 95% of your daily behavior.
I'm speechless, man. That's a lot of info. And that's a lot of stuff I think people don't know, right? They're not
They
aware of.
don't.
No one really teaches you that.
No one teaches you. People tell you to go to traditional therapy. You show up every Tuesday morning at 11 a.m. and you talk about your symptoms and your conscious mind. Well, that's why it's so hard to fix things until you get into the subconscious mind that actually drives your behavior. It's really hard to change things.
So, Brad, let me ask you a question. Do you feel like, for the people that are watching this, the audience, the Batch Leads Nation, do you feel like addressing these things can help them better become real estate investors?
Oh, without a doubt. So number one, you want to figure out, like, why are you in business in first place? Are you like me? Are you in real estate to make a bunch of money, or is it really your passion? The quicker you find out what your passion is, the more the more success you're going to have. Because I am so passionate about what I do. I liked real estate and I would read occasional real estate books, but I could never sit down for 8 hours and read a real estate book. I can sit down on the beach for 8 hours for 3 weeks at a time. I've never done it, but I know I could, and I've enjoyed it. Reading books on psychology and the mind. So absolutely. Number two is you got to figure out, a lot of entrepreneurs start businesses because they lack control in their early life and they think that they're going to gain control as an entrepreneur. You don't really control anything in life except your thoughts. That's it. You get control by giving up control in your life. So yes, to answer your question, if you do the work, it's not going to only make you better in business, because what's happened over these last 2 years, Nathan, is I've shifted from trying to make a bunch of money to prove my worth to making an impact. So every day I wake up and I'm like, how can I make a greater impact on my clients and my community? And I'm early. I've only been in a year in this, but I think if 5 years from now and on this podcast, and you ask me, how are you doing financially? I bet you I make more money from this venture than I do in real estate, because you can't stop me in terms of my passion and purpose and knowledge that I just can't get enough. So I'm just going to keep getting better and better and better at what I do.
You know what? I've seen a lot of people, like you're saying, they use real estate as their printing press or their business to, I guess, use more of their time towards what they're passionate. So I don't think you necessarily need to be passionate about real estate in order to do it, right?
True.
I use it as
for 17 years I wasn't. I made millions of dollars, and now I am using it from my vehicle to affect change in the world. So absolutely. So yeah, you don't have to be passionate about it. You can be really, really smart. Follow what Nathan says because he's really, really good. Do what he says, and yeah, as you do this work, you will figure out why you were put here. And then look, I set up a business that runs without me. I had a 970 on my SATs. There's nothing special about me.
Mm-hmm.
Nathan's got everything you need to set up your business to run. So yeah, go have at it.
Well, yeah, no, I appreciate you saying that, Brad. So for everybody watching this and that's going to watch it in the future, it's like, I think it's important for you to dive in and realize and self-assess, like you're saying, like, hey, your self-belief, like, address those issues. Like you're saying, take Brad Chandler's, is it called the love quiz at bradchandler.com?
Yep.
Yeah. Take that and really dive in and see where, your why, like, why are you doing this and what's driving you? Because I've done that as well, and I think it's very powerful to wake up every day with a purpose, knowing where you're trying to go. Because maybe that phone is a little heavy when you guys start making dials, but if you know that's attached to your why, what you're trying to achieve, your passion, it gets a little easier.
Yeah, you asked me would their business improve if they did the work, and yeah, my answer was yes. But guess what else will improve? Your health, your mental health, your relationship with your spouse or your significant other, your relationship with your kids. If you have issues in your relationships, it's never about the actual relationship. The problem in relationships always is the relationship each individual has with themselves. If you have children and they have behavioral issues, you've got to look in the mirror because it's the parents that cause the behavioral issues in the kids 9.5 out of 10 times. So when you do this work and you become self-aware and you stop these self-beliefs, these destructive self-beliefs that are eating at you, like everything good in your life will change. I had a podcast guest who was a former client yesterday, and he came to me saying he just wanted to turn down his negativity talk 3 notches. This was 6 months ago we finished. He literally hasn't had one negative thought about himself in 6 months. Negative thoughts are destructive. If you talk negatively to yourself on a regular basis, that is one of the signs of lack of self-love. It's not doing you any good, I promise you. If you think it's motivating you, it's not. And if you're talking negative to yourself in front of your kids, what are you teaching your kids, right?
Amazing. Yeah. So I'll tell you a little bit about, because I've actually noticed that a lot. I'm like a youth leader at my church, and one of the kids that's younger, he like always like says negative things, and it's like, where did he learn that? And I'm not like saying anything about his parents, but that's where they learn it. Like, and it's like, for me being a positive person, like whenever he says something negative, immediately like my heart sinks, it drops. I'm like, man, that doesn't feel good. Like he's talking, like, for example, this is stupid, but this is what it means. Like one kid's like, oh, I went and saw the Indiana Jones movie. It was great. And then he's like, oh, that movie sucks. That movie's terrible. And I'm like, have you seen the movie? And he's like, no, I haven't seen it yet, but I know it stinks. So it's like that negative thought, like he's already negative about something he doesn't know about. So I was like, as a, I would say, as a wiser person, I was like, hey man, if you don't know something, you shouldn't judge it yet. You should give it a shot. Don't be so negative. And he was cool about it, but it's crazy. Like even things like that, when you're young, that can affect you and like all aspects of your life if you're negative like that.
Yeah, it's obviously he's hurting. I mean, if his parents are negative, that shows you that they likely have a lack of self-love and that he's probably not getting what he needs. So just try to have as much compassion for him as you can. And, like I always say, just pour out the love to him. Make sure he knows he's loved and, God loves him.
Yeah, and we never know what's going on at home, but I think if anything like that happens, if you guys are talking to another wholesaler and they're just saying, oh man, blah, 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 and they're going negative all the time, like it's okay to address things and be honest with what's going on in real life, but approach it from, I guess a perspective of, I call it an eternal perspective, like looking at it from the brighter side, looking at it instead of just like complaining.
Yeah, a lot of people are hurting, and if you can see them for who they are and not judge them, it makes life a lot better.
100%. Well, hey, Brad, awesome having you on here. And I just want everyone to know, like, the reason why we talk about these things that are a little deeper is because being an investor, anyone can make a phone call, anyone can do that. But a lot of like your heart, your light shines through that phone. A lot of people, when I talk to someone on the phone, I can immediately feel their energy. I can immediately feel if they're happy or they're sad. And that's like when I call people sometimes, like I can just tell they're like oh, this guy's happy, right? Like Brad, you know what I'm talking about. That energy
Yeah.
is real.
Yeah, I mean, look, let's get back to impact. Like, just always look for impact. When you go meet with the seller, you talk to the seller. If they've got a problem that you can help with, if it's an elderly lady and it's 90 degrees in her house and she doesn't have money to go buy an air condition, and you're about to make a $10,000 spread or 15 or 20, whatever it is, go freaking buy. Just imagine driving to Home Depot and putting an air conditioner in her. Do you know how far that's going to go? Number one, you're doing the right thing and you're giving back to the world. But number two, how many people do you think she's going to tell that, Amy Homebuyer came over and put an air conditioning unit for free, or she needs a ride to the doctor, or she doesn't have the proper insurance, whatever it is. Like, just always look to make an impact, and it will always come back to you.
So, Brad, let me ask you this, because this is a question I have. So, when you're on the ground level, like me, I'm still like in the business, working in the business, on the business. I have the opportunity to see opportunities to impact more for myself. But when you're out, you say you work maybe an hour a week or so. How do you know that your employees and everyone that's in the business is trying to have that mindset, that same self-belief, and that same thought process as you do?
So I talk about it at the monthly lunches. I do almost every day a video on peace and love and happiness. So if you want to go, I'm on every social media platform at bradchandler.com/contact. Go follow me. So I also share those with them. So they're constantly seeing me live my life in the way that I want my company to operate.
Okay.
Great
That
question.
makes sense. Yeah. So that makes sense. So you try to be involved with them, even though you're not always there. You try to kind of show them what you believe and have that in your culture.
Yeah, and I still coach people. Like, I'm planning on helping people. Everyone almost. This is another thing in your company. If you have people that have these childhood programming issues, they're not going to be that as productive as you'd like them to be. One of the first people that I ever coached when I was learning how to do this a couple of years ago was one of my virtual assistants, and she was in her 30s. She had massive migraines. She slept 2 to 3 hours a night. She couldn't sleep. She had lots of anxiety, and after doing the work, she now is sleeping 8 hours. Her anxiety is gone. Her relationships has improved. I mean, just think about how much more productive she is when she's actually getting up and well rested. So it's just another thing. Once you focus on yourself, look to spread the love and the light to the people in the organization.
Love it. Well, hey, again, we want to thank Batch Leads for having us on here, guys. Check it out. Check out Batch Leads. They got new agent outreach that they just put in there. That off marketing is great. Really, you want to impact more people? You need to reach out to them. You need to talk instead of just sitting on the sidelines. So take action. And if you're struggling and you're like, oh man, I can't figure out why I don't want to make that phone call, hit up bradchandler.com. He'll help you out. All right. And then he'll send you to me and I'll help you out to use Batch Leads. So, all right, everybody, thanks for coming and see you next time.